essence, some self, Atman, of being likable. Because when I eat it, I like it. You know? And so the likability, we mistake the idea that the likability is in the Ben & Jerry's Chunky Monkey ice cream. What's the proof that that's impossible? Not everyone likes Chunky Monkey Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Some people like some other flavor of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, for example. They say, I hate the Chunky Monkey, I like the, what's another flavor? Huh?
Rocky Road.
Rocky Road. I love the Rocky Road. And you go, how could you like Rocky Road when Chunky Monkey is so good? It's so obviously good. Well, you know, I just don't like it. There are some people who don't like Ben & Jerry's ice cream at all. Some people say, I hate it. I like Dryers or, you know, what other brand? Some other brand of ice cream. I don't like it. Yeah. Huh? Haagen-Dazs. I like Haagen-Dazs. You know, you're a sucker for liking Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Haagen-Dazs. And there are some people who don't like any kind of ice cream. If the likability was in the ice cream, no one would not like ice cream. If the likability was in the Ben & Jerry's ice cream, no one would like Haagen-Dazs better. And if the likability was in the Ben & Jerry's Chunky Monkey, then Chunky Monkey would be the favorite brand and flavor of everyone because the likability would be in it. You see? So right view, we're starting with the first one, right? Right view, right understanding is understanding that the likability and dislikability are not in the things out there. They have no self, no essence of being likable or dislikable from their side. It's coming from us, right? We overlay likability or dislikability onto a, basically neutral ground, It's basically neutral. Then the third one is dukkha. We already talked about this. The third lakshana, the third sign of reality is suffering. And the suffering comes from not understanding that things are impermanent and without essences. See, the suffering comes by thinking that impermanent things were permanent, and that things that do not have essential qualities from their side do. So that's the third one. And that's right view. That's understanding. That's right understanding. Understanding that things are impermanent, without essences from their side, and that if we don't understand that, we will suffer. We will be stressed out and suffer. The second one here is right intention. Right intention in Sanskrit, sankalpa. It means having the right motivation in life. It means having the right intention. And the right intention is basically, I want to be a happy person and stop suffering. That's my intention in life. So what do I need to do that? You see? Instead of my intention in life is to make a lot of money, or my intention in life is to buy a boat, or my intention in life is to have like a wonderful holiday in Bali. There's nothing wrong with boats and Bali holidays and money, but to have that as your whole intention in life, your whole motivation, that's not a method of stopping suffering. You see, so the right intention is I intend to try to be happy. I intend to try to do the things I need to do in life that will bring true happiness. Then right speech. Right speech is, using your speech in a proper way. There are different ways of understanding this. Don't lie with your speech. Heard that one before, anybody? Many, many times we hear that. As soon as it becomes inconvenient for us, we throw it right out the window. Don't lie. Don't hurt people with your speech using harsh words. Don't divide people with your speech. Use your speech to unite people instead of divide them apart from. And don't use your speech to idly just gossip. Idle speech. Idle speech means gossiping about other people's problems and so forth. It also means saying you're going to do stuff and not doing it. You ever done that? Yeah. Making promises that you're not keeping. See, that's misuse of speech, not right speech. So that's one way of looking at it. Here's another way. This is kind of good. It's a way to kind of judge whether your speech is correct or not. Number one, is it true? Is it true to say? See? But that's That's one of 4 here, so it's modified a little bit, you know? Because sometimes even things that are true shouldn't be said. I'll give you an example of this soon. It's coming. Is it necessary to say it? Is it necessary? Is it helpful? Is it helpful or kind to say it? Right? And is it timely? Is it the right time to bring this up? You know? So, you know, sometimes we like to tell the truth and think it's going to be very kind and so forth. Just as somebody is, you know, going out the door on their way to an important meeting or something like that, says, no, wait a minute, I'd like to talk to you about our relationship and, you know, have some true things about our relationship. You know, not timely, you see. You gotta have the right time, the right, the right intention means kindness here, you know, kind speech, the helpful and necessary, as well as being true. Then right action. Right action means that you do things with your body that are not harmful to other people. Not hurting other people physically, not hurting other beings physically. This is ahimsa in the Sanskrit. Ahimsa, non-violence. Not stealing with your body, not taking things that don't belong to you, and not sleeping with people that you shouldn't sleep with. Anybody unclear on who those people are? People who are involved in committed relationships with other people are out of bounds for you. Okay? Thou shalt not commit adultery. Yeah? And I was telling a group the other night, you know, if you're in the market for somebody to sleep with, there's a whole lot of people out there who aren't in committed relationships. There's a lot of fish in the sea. So why not choose somebody like that? Instead of choosing somebody who's already in a relationship, you're going to enter into that, destroy it, bring, you know, hardship and pain to a whole lot of people, you know. Too many other choices, okay? A lot of other options. Right livelihood. The right livelihood traditionally is understood as a livelihood that doesn't bring harm to people or to beings in general. And this one, I think, you know, the traditional wrong livelihoods were things like being a butcher or tanner, you know, where you use animal hide to make leather with and stuff like that. In our day and age, we have to like think a little carefully about whether what we're doing for a living is helpful in any way to others or is actually harmful to others. And only you can make that determination. Yeah. I'm not going to sit in judgment about anybody's job. Right exertion, virya, vayama in Pali. It means being happy to work hard for your spiritual life. Being happy, so it doesn't just mean working hard. You know, like, lots of us are good at working hard, but we work hard for our jobs or work hard in our hobbies or work hard for all kinds of things. That's not virya. What virya means is you work hard for your spiritual goals, for becoming a better person, for becoming a more disciplined person, better meditator, better yogi. You work hard. And it also means happily. So sometimes you get spiritual practitioners, maybe you're one, who drag their weary ass to a Dharma talk because they think they have to, you know, and aren't happy about it. Or, you know, kind of go to yoga class and are sitting there glum the whole time. There are yoga teachers like this, glum yoga teachers. And that's not virya, okay? Being happy about doing something that's good for you spiritually, yeah. Then right mindfulness, smriti or sati, in Pali, sati or smriti, means paying attention to what's going on. Mindfulness means that. Paying attention to what's happening in the here and now, instead of spacing out all the time, thinking about stuff that's already happened or stuff that might happen in the future. Being here and now. And then the last one, samadhi. Samadhi is understood in a lot of different ways in the Indian text. my best understanding of what samadhi means, and it's kind of true to the literal meaning of the word samadhi. Integration, putting things together, bringing things together. And by that I mean integrating with the life around you. Integrating and living, let's just call it like that. Living the life that you're living fully. Integrating with life. Instead of wishing it were different or thinking about when it's going to be better or, daydreaming about the past when it used to be good but now it's all crap, and integrating into life as it's happening, being here now. For the people who were at the talk last night, that's samadhi, being fully here now. Okay? And that's the eightfold path. Or you could have the onefold path. Just be content. See, one of the reasons why we're not integrating with our lives as they're happening, with reality as it is, as it's happening, is because we're not content with it. We're not content being here and now. You see, oh, I wish I were somewhere else. I wish I were, at a movie, and and not being now. And it's like, oh, well, what's going to happen after the class? Where will I go to eat? I wonder if there are any restaurants in Singapore to eat in. Casting your mind into the future instead of being here now, fully. And that's the goal. The goal is to be here now contentedly and live life fully in the here and now. And put the nirvana glasses on instead of the samsara glasses. And that's what the Buddha taught. That's the main thing that the Buddha taught. And that's the teaching, I think, fundamental teaching that you'll find in any authentic spiritual tradition. You got a problem. The cause is not somebody else's fault. It's your fault. It's not somebody else's problem, that somebody else's fault that you have a problem. It's your problem. That's the second one, right? There's an option. Don't have to have a problem. That's the goal. And there's a method. There's a method for achieving the goal. That's the essence of any authentic spiritual tradition, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. All right, I went on a little long. That clock is really fast, isn't it? A little fast. So maybe we can, is it okay to spend 5-10 minutes in questions?
Anyone who wants to ask a question, just use the mic because there is a recording going on so that the questions can also be in the recording.
I'll repeat them also, maybe. Yeah. It's always hard to be the first one, isn't it?
May I ask one?
Oh. You're a person too.
First of all, thank you, Lamaji, for really unpacking this very nicely. The question in my mind is, especially when it comes to the education and the kind of things which young people are aware of and doing today, like relating to ambition and achievement.
Yeah.
So if we say, oh, just be content, then what's the role of goals and ambition and achievement and doing something and seeking something out? Because all what we hear in that world is exactly that, which is, hey, you got to go there and do something, you got to reach something, or you got to get something, or the measurements and the activities are all seemingly opposite of, hey, don't be content.
Somebody else should ask that question. That's a really good question. Is that your question too? I bet that was a question a lot of people had. Being content doesn't mean being complacent, okay? Being content doesn't mean, well, I just won't do anything or strive for anything or try to better myself or have any goals at all. It doesn't mean that. It means that you are content with the opportunities that you have for self-improvement also, okay? It means content with with your life as it is and who you are as you are, and also with the opportunities that you have to be better. That's contentment. The best teachings on this, I think, in my experience of world spiritual literature is in the Bhagavad Gita. It's called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means that you do what, you live the life that you have to live. You do what what it is that you are given to do, happily and so forth. And you do it well. You do it to the best of your ability. So you have an opportunity to go to school, well, you go to school and you try to do the best that you can in school. You have an opportunity in a new job, you try to do that job to the best of your ability. Okay? It doesn't mean that you slack off because you're content. I'm content. I don't have to work hard. You make the most of the opportunities that you have, but then it says, but you do the action for the sake of the action itself, not for the reward that you think you're going to get from it. See, because when you do something for a goal, for a reward, for what's in it for me, that's discontented action. That's action done for something, for some other purpose, for some other goal, rather than action done for its own sake. We have experience of this, all of us actually. And we find in our experience of this kind of action for its own sake is when we are happiest, actually. It's not when we're acting for some goal that we're actually happy. Because we're always, anxious about it, We're always thinking, well, will I make that goal? Will I get that, will I get that promotion? Will I get the high grades? Whatever it is. It's when we can do the act for its own sake that we're happiest and do the act most efficiently, I think, also. Because we're doing it for its own sake. This is the kind of action that we do when we're doing our hobbies, okay? We don't do that for a goal, for a purpose. We do that because it's fun to do, right? I used to surf quite a bit. And there's no purpose to surfing, actually. The surfing is its own purpose. You don't surf so that you will get something. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. And the same as with any kind of hobby, skiing or whatever your hobby is. It's, you enjoy doing it and you do it as best you can because it's fun to do. We have also experience of this, or used to, most of us, in the concept of play. Most of us were taught at a certain age that in play, in games, it's important to win. And then pure play is destroyed. The purity of play isn't in the winning and losing. It's in the play itself. So if you're going to see what action for its own sake looks like, you probably are going to have to watch little kids who haven't yet learned that it's important to win. And if you go to a playground, here in Singapore, and you watch like 3-4-year-olds, that's pure play. That's action for its own sake, And if you went to them and said, what's the purpose of the sliding that you're doing? What goal are you trying to achieve by that sliding? Why the teetering and the tottering? What is the purpose and what are you trying to achieve by this swinging, back and forth swinging? Yeah? And they would look at you like you're crazy. They would probably call the police or something. Call mom and dad and say, make this crazy adult go away. Because it's stupid to ask a question like, why are you swinging, right? You're swinging because it's fun to swing. You're sliding because it's fun to slide. The purpose of sliding isn't to get to the bottom of the slide. It isn't to walk up the slide down and go, I've achieved it. I've achieved the goal of sliding. The purpose of sliding is not having slid. It's in the sliding. See, action for its own sake. It's not having done the thing. Oh, I've achieved it. I've finished it. I've reached the goal of it. It's in the action itself. It's all, So here's another example, okay? Maybe if we ever finish here in time, some of you will be going out to discotheques or something tonight, dancing maybe. It's Saturday night after, should have some fun. Maybe you go to a club and go dancing for a while. What's the purpose of dancing, exactly? what is the goal of dancing? What is the thing that you're trying to achieve by dancing? And if you say, well, I'm trying to show this girl my moves, I'm trying to really impress this girl with my moves. So that's not pure dancing then anymore, right? That's self-conscious, goal-oriented dancing, right? The purpose of dancing is dancing. That's the whole point. The point is in itself. It is its own purpose. A professional dancer named Isadora Duncan once said that if I could tell you why I danced, I wouldn't have to dance. If I could tell you the purpose of it, see, I wouldn't have to do it. It has its own purpose. See? So a lot of art is like that. A lot of artistic expression is like that. It's not to achieve a goal. It's not to achieve the end, but to do the process, to be in the process. So being in the process of action is action for its own sake. And that's when we're happiest acting, is not when we're goal-oriented or thinking about what am I going to get out of it, you see. And so then it's contented action, you could say, right? Contented action, which doesn't mean that you're sloppy about it or you don't make any efforts at it or like that. Children make great efforts at sliding. If you watch them, they'll for 3-4 hours at a time, untiringly, up and down, up and down, up and down, up. Great effort, okay? Virya. Yeah, joyful effort. And that's a clue as to how we should be living our whole lives, actually. Living happily and fully and with great attention and mindfulness and effort with whatever it is that we have to do in life. And that's a form of contentment. See? The contentment isn't inertia or not doing anything or doing stuff sloppily, but is content with what it is that you have to do. At this moment, on this day, in this period of your life, be content. Be content with what there is for you to do now. It's like the other analogy for people who haven't been coming to my other talks, for people who have, excuse me, I just use this one all the time. But, another analogy is like going to the integrated resort, to the casino and playing cards, When you play cards at the casino, they deal you a hand, right? A hand of cards. And, we have our hand of cards in life. We have a particular hand that we've been dealt in general, the kind of, birth that we had, the family that we were born into, et cetera, et cetera. And then all through life, we're getting a hand of cards. Every event, every, moment, every experience is a new hand of cards. And discontentment is saying, I don't want these cards. I didn't want these cards. I didn't want to be born in this family. I wanted to be born in a rich family. I didn't want to be born, Chinese speaking. I wanted to be born English speaking, or whatever, right? And I didn't want this, thing to happen at work. I wanted something else to happen at work. Well, guess what? These are the cards that you got dealt. And so the purpose, the point is to not be discontent with the cards that you've been dealt and, try to get rid of them or something like that, but to learn how to play them skillfully. Learn how to play them, whatever hand that you get. Okay? Yeah. And that's contentment. That's a form of contentment. Being content with the cards that you got dealt and doing the best that you can to make the best of your hand, right? To play your hand, in the best way possible. Thanks for asking that question, Ramesh.
Okay, now that I have started, many more?
Lamaji, you recommended that we ask ourselves, what is it more that we should have to be content? And yesterday you also asked this question, what would it be like to have no problems, physical or mental? But naturally, if during meditation, answers arises within yourself, like, this is not done, something is still imperfect and all that. So how do you mitigate that?
Yeah, that's a good question. On the way to having a mind where those kinds of thoughts don't arise, which is the goal, to have a mind that, it's not constantly hassling you all the time. Your own mind, of course. Your own mind hassling you all the time about you should do this or you should do that or something like that. In one of the great Hindu texts called the Ashtavakra Gita, there's a beautiful and memorable statement. It says, samsara, this suffering life, samsara, is nothing other than the compulsion to act. The compulsion, than having to do something. The feeling that they're always, I have to do something. See? That's discontent. That feeling of always having to do something. So on the way to not having feelings like that, which doesn't mean that you don't do anything. It just means that you don't have this compulsion, obsession, this discontent behind every action. You can act, you can continue to do stuff, but not out of that, that kind of anxiety. I must do something. I have to do this. I have to do like. On the way to getting to there, when those thoughts arise, in meditation or any time else, instead of identifying with them, just watch them. Yeah, this is called mindfulness. This is another kind of mindfulness. Just watch them. So a thought has arisen. An anxious thought has arisen. If you don't identify with it, if you don't say, yes, that's me, that thought is me, I must do something, if you just watch it, it loses its power rather quickly. It comes, it rises, it lasts for a while, and goes. The thoughts gain power by us, grasping to them. By attaching to them and saying, yes, I must do something, I guess. Okay? Just relax about it. Just watch the mind go up and down, up and down, up and down. And don't identify with it. You are not your thoughts, actually. You are nothing other than your thoughts, in a way, but you're also not your thoughts. It's interesting to see that the mind is able to split itself apart. And to achieve a kind of a watcher status of its own self. It can watch its own self. And that's a really interesting practice to start learning how to do. Just watch what's going on in your mind without chasing every thought, you see, without attaching to every thought. Yeah? So on your way to not having any thoughts of compulsion to act, you can just watch when they arise and if you get that kind of objectivity, then you can calmly and coolly decide, well, do I really need to do something here? See? Or is it just this anxiety arising that makes me feel like I have to do something? See?
All right, I have a sort of technical question based on what you just said about the watcher. I often am not sure if I'm doing the watcher right. So I'd love for you just to talk about what is the experience for you when you feel like, I've really got this watcher thing down. I mean, intellectually I think I'm doing it, but I don't know if experientially it's really happening.
Well, only you can decide whether experientially it's really happening. I mean, nobody can crawl into your head and, sort of evaluate whether you're having the proper experience of, the watcher state of mind. In my experience of it, it's a very peaceful state of mind because, you're not running after every single thought. You're just watching, and so there's a kind of a calmness about it. A kind of a relaxed sort of sensibility, mindset, as you just watch the thoughts come and go. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful. You will know, I think, when you're kind of doing it. The other thing I think to say about that watchful state of mind is that because I think sometimes people say, well, that's who I am. I am the watcher. And that's not who you are either, actually. In Buddhism, of course, they have this whole concept of an-atman, no self. And so if the watcher state of mind was yourself, then you couldn't say you didn't have an Atman. It would be your Atman, sort of. It would be yourself. And the way that you can know that it's not your Atman is by watching the watcher's state of mind. How do you know you have a watcher state of mind unless you're watching it, right? And then you're like, well, who's watching the watcher of the watching state of mind? How do I? And back you go. You see, there's no findable watcher state of mind that isn't being watched by another watcher state of mind. And that's why there is no self, really. The self is an idea of the self. And that's all the self is. There's nothing other than an idea of the self. Now, that said, that's kind of important. Just because it's just an idea doesn't mean it doesn't have some kind of reality to it, right? Our self-conception, sometimes we say that, our self-conception, our understanding of ourself is ourself. Our idea about ourself is the only self we really have. It's not a thing, it's an idea. You see what I mean? It's an idea of the self. And the good news is that because we only have an idea of the self as a self, our ideas about ourself can change. We can improve our sense of self by changing our understanding, our ideas, our conception of ourself. If we had the self that sometimes we think we have, not just sometimes, a lot, like if it was something real, not just an idea, how could we ever change that? How can we ever change that? We can change ideas, right? We can change conceptions. And that's really good news. You can gift yourself with a better self by changing your conception of yourself. And the way to do that is through karma, actually. Through seeing yourself act, speak, and think better, in terms of your relationship with other people, then more beneficial and so forth, which gives you a better sense of self. And that's how you change yourself. And that's the only self there is to change, is a conception of the self. That's why karma is so important. That's why karma works, is because it changes our sense of self. What we do, say, and think constitutes who we are. It makes us who we are. And that's the only we that we are, is how we think of ourselves. And we think of ourselves on the basis of, what kinds of actions we think we have done. We call it memory. It's memory. Who we are is a function of who we think we once were. Who we are, our sense of self, is who we think we once were. Okay? I was telling the audience this last couple of nights, a little thought experiment. Who would you be if you had no memories? Who would you be? And the answer to that is nothing, isn't it? We are our memories. We don't have memories. We are our memories. And memory is just another way of talking about karma. Karma is memory. Conscious memory, subconscious memory, or even unconscious memory. So karma, or memory, it constitutes our self, the only self that we have, which is our self-conception. So if you want to change your sense of self, if you want to improve yourself, change your karma. Gift yourself with better memories. That should be good. Everyone should smile about that. It's like, wow, you mean that's all there is to it? You mean I could be like a really different person? And yeah, could really be quite a different person, quite a happier person. But you have to create the causes for that. You have to gift yourself with the right memories. See? You are now who you think you once were, right? You are now who you think you once were. You are now, the self you are is because of the memories that you have. And you will be, next week, next year, next decade, who you think you once were now. You see? So what you do now is creating the memories for your self-conception in the future. So what kind of person you want to be? You want to be a happy person? You want to be a person that you can be proud of? That's, that you can look back on and say, you know, I did my best. I was trying to be a good person. Or do you want to, you know, have regrets and, you know, guilt and feeling bad about, you know, things that you did and said about to other people, and that will bring you a different kind of self. Up to you. See, our self improvement is entirely in our hands. Entirely in our hands. And it's a function of learning how to live a good life. A life of, you know, of kindness, of compassion, of helpfulness to other people instead of selfishness and hurtfulness and, you know, all of that. We are literally creating ourselves. Literally creating ourselves every moment.
Lama Marut, going from the goal to the solution, you've said it's go from contentment, and then the solution is be content.
Yeah.
But the verse itself talks about the 8 parts, and I'm still trying to link be content with proper outlook, proper intention, proper speech, proper action. And it seems that what you've just been saying about karma is the link. It's almost like there's something unstated between these two. So in order to make sense of having proper outlook, proper intention on the way to being content, then the link to me now seems that it is about karma. It's about cleaning up our act, in other words.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, I think. And I think if you looked at any one of these, you know, through the lens of contentment, you could see that what they mean, you know, at least at one level of understanding, is a contented version of each one of these. Outlook, for example, means acceptance of reality as it is. Contentment about reality as it is, right? Seeing reality as impermanent, as without self, as suffering if you don't see it that way, and, you know, seeing it realistically, right? And right intention means an intention that would bring you contentment. I have the intention in my spiritual life of trying to achieve a state of mind that would be content. So, you know, you can like run it through, I think, the list. Yeah.
Thank you.